A big day for Tata Motors investors. The commercial vehicle arm has gotten listed today with a premium of 30%. Let's go across to Puneet, who's speaking with the management.
The first question largely on picking up from what N. Chandra highlighted, that in the past, it's always the cash flow of the CV business that was used for the passenger vehicle business among others. So it's always been profitable. Now that that's behind you, what does it actually mean for the company going forward?
Absolutely. I think before I get exactly to your question, let me give some historic context. As you rightly said, it is an iconic company. Got listed way back in 55, and those days it was Tata Engineering and Locomotive Company Limited. And have a very proud feeling that since then, the commercial vehicle business of Tata Motors has contributed to the economic development of the country's progress, especially in road transportation and infrastructure building. So that certainly gives a lot of sense of pride. And I think we are committed to the vision of Atmanirbhar and Viksit Bharat, right? I think today marks a very, very historic milestone where we actually list as a separate company. And with it, I would say that it will bring a lot of sharper strategic focus on the commercial vehicle value chain, the logistics value chain, and opportunities within it. I would say it will also strengthen our governance, for which the Tata Group is known. And finally, I think it will also empower us to actually explore more opportunities within the larger value chain of commercial vehicles.
Well, the second question largely in terms of what should investors expect as well, right? Because it's always been that in terms of when there's an upswing in the passenger vehicle side, the shares do very well. So the CV business doesn't get the credit that it should have in the last many years, essentially at this point of time. So in terms of investors and what they should expect, are there any surprises that you're going to have in terms of what we could expect as investors going forward?
See, I think this demerger and separate listing actually also helps the investors. So, specifically value investors who are looking at robust free cash flows and good return on capital employed. I think a pure play commercial vehicle company that Tata Motors is and leader in the country becomes a very good opportunity. But beyond that, what I would say is, in the last few years, we have done some strategic shifts in the company, which have led or yielded some good results. So you would have seen a strong margin growth, very robust free cash flows, and very high return on capital employed. So I think, therefore, it gives a very good franchise to look at for the investors. In addition to this, we have also pivoted very decisively towards digital and sustainability, which we believe is going to be extremely important as we go ahead. And we have been investing, therefore, in technology towards these future frontiers. In addition to this, I would say that I think we have been looking at growing our downstream businesses, because downstream businesses, we believe, are more consistent and recurring revenue streams. They depend not so much on the industry volume that year, but more so on the park volume. And that will therefore also give more stability to the business through the cycles, because the industry is a bit cyclical. So I think we have now all strategies in place. We will continue with relentless focus on execution, and that I'm sure should give a very good opportunity for the investors.
Is the Iveco acquisition for the commercial vehicle business is what JLR did for the passenger vehicle side? Because you get access to powertrains, and that's something that you have been doing a lot of, fine-tuning in the sense, to say the least. But this is a big one, to say the least. Is that the moment?
See, as you know, the Iveco transaction is still awaiting all regulatory approval, so I will not say much. But I must say that it's not only about access to powertrains. It is access to talent. It is access to markets. It is access to channel, right? And obviously, yes, access to technology. So the Iveco acquisition post-regulatory approvals, when it happens, it will place us number 4 globally in more than 6-ton vehicle segment, which is how the commercial vehicle segment is seen globally. And therefore, I think we get into the top bracket, and it will therefore also give us scale, synergy, and freedom to invest in future technologies.
The one key aspect that you mentioned also was in terms of cyclicality of the CV industries is actually quite diminished if I can use that term, because the LCV business has been growing for all industry players, the leading ones including yourself. So the cyclicality that you used to see in terms of what we saw in 2018, we haven't seen that yet. And when the upswing comes, and in terms of your investment in defense, your investments in digital has helped. So will that be something very, very different that we see in the next 5 years now that you are separately listed? Is the expectations a lot different from what we've seen in the past?
See, one good thing certainly is that since FY22, the industry has either grown or remained flat, which in my view is good. I mean, the domestic industry. So while this has happened, what we've also done is we have grown our focus on the downstream businesses, international business, and therefore increase the pie of these businesses which are more cyclical or non-cyclical, which will certainly help us if at all there is a down cycle which is coming. But I must also say that I think the rate at which Indian economy is growing, I think the commercial vehicles will continue to be the backbone of the economy and will therefore step up along with the economy, and therefore I am optimistic about the future of even Indian commercial vehicle industry. We will continue with our strategic focus on reducing the impact of cyclicality on our cash flows.
Just one last question from my side, and there's so much to talk about in the CV side, but there's defense and there's the EV bus segment. That's the other key vertical that you've been investing heavily over the last few years. We also have a new CESL tender that could come in. Are you expanding your bus build capacity now going forward as well? And in terms of defense also, now that it's a separate entity in terms of a more granular focus, what could we expect?
So let me take these two businesses separately. First of all, in Smart City, as you know, we won the first CSL tender. And since then, I think we have now deployed and operating more than 3,800 buses. We have more than 40 crore kilometers backed under the belt, right? So we have built sufficient experience now on how to run this business of own, operate, maintain.